So now whatever theory we have seen about Spring Boot, let's try to implement it one by one. This is what a Spring toolset looks like after installing. So first, as we know, we are going to create here the Spring Starter project. Okay, so for that we'll be going File, New, and then the Spring Starter project. We are going to click on this. Then here we'll suppose add the name of our application as suppose simple Spring application. Okay, then let's name the group as the project that com dot example. Okay, then let's give the artigraph id as same and just edit the package as com dot example. Okay, com dot example. Okay, so that is as we were doing same, right, while doing the JPA or creating any JPA projects in Eclipse, right? So this basic is very same. Okay, now let's click on next. Okay, so we were seeing, right, in the theory part, like we have to add this the dependency, then it will automatically configure it. So this dependencies are available in this available section. Like suppose I have to add a Spring Web dependency. So for that I will just type Spring Web, okay, and then select it. This is how my dependency will be added. There is no need to go to the web browser, then copy the link and paste it. Okay, next, suppose I have to work with Spring Data JP also. Okay, so let's for simplicity just create a very simple application that is just nothing but a hello world. Okay, let's finish it and move forward. So let's wait till our project is getting set up. Here you can see the status. Okay, and yes, here also you can see that the project hasn't been set up. So let's go to our main application that is inside this and open it. Yeah, so this is what our main file of Spring application look like. As we know, there will be annotation to define the main file as @springboot application, right? So which tells that which is the main file of an application. Now let's run the program, print a simple hello world. Okay, so how we will do this is nothing but inside this syntax is same as we are doing in Java, that is system.out.println, right? This is also how we do in Java. Let's print here is hello world. Okay, now let's save it and now run application. So let's run it as a Spring Boot app. So there are different applications. You can also use Java application or Spring Boot. I am using Spring Boot. Click on OK. Yes. So here you can see in the console, Hello World is printed. That is nothing but a very simple and a basic Spring Boot application we have to create using Hello World. Okay. So I changed the name to 1. Okay. And then let's change the group to suppose practice. Similarly, package to practice. Okay. Now let's click on next. And here we are going to use a suppose Spring Web. And if needed, and here suppose we are just going to use a Spring Web. Okay, so let's click on next and then finish. Okay, so let's wait for the application to configure. Yes, so our project is configured. Now first let's check the pom.xml file. Okay, yes, so in here as you can see there are different dependencies which we have talked about is included. The first one is the starter parent, right? Then second one is the test for the purpose of testing. Okay, and next is this web application, that is the Spring Boot starter web, as we are going to work on a web application, a very simple web application. Okay, so for that now what we will do, like first inside this main class. Okay, now let's make the use like of different annotations like configuration and component scan. Okay, so as we are making the use of configuration, so we need to define the bean class as well. Okay, and let's also make the use of component scan. Okay, now let's see. So first let's import the particular package annotations. Yeah. Now as we are going to work with configuration, so it is handling what the bin classes. Now let's create a bin class, okay, which will particularly work with our, or which will handle the service class for us. Okay, so let's name it as bin, and inside this let's give the method implementation as suppose hello world, that is nothing but our service, and suppose hello world. Okay, and then service. Okay, so see, let's first import the bin. Okay, so actually what we are doing here is first we have the Spring Boot application, okay, which is telling us that this is the main application file. Inside only the main class we have to include the configuration and component scan annotations, right? So configuration is responsible for handling the bin classes, and the component scan is telling the exact location where different service classes or control classes will be located. So to tell that, we have to add here is nothing but the base package. and the name for this will be nothing but our base package name. So that we will do as copy qualified name and we will paste here of the package. Okay, I think this is changed to base packages. Okay, so this is how we particularly add this annotation of configuration and component scan. Now inside this bin, as we know that it is responsible or it is a method, the annotation which is used to declare that the method will produce a bin that will be particularly managed by the Spring container. Now let's give the method implementation as suppose which will direct us or which will handle the instances of service class, that is nothing but a hello world service. Okay, so what this method is doing, that this method is creating and configuring the instance of hello world service class, okay, which is nothing but the factory method for producing the instances of our service bin class. Okay, so from configuration it is telling us that it has to manage the bin class. So here we will create our service class, okay, in the same package. Let's click on finish. Okay, and then this component scan will tell the location that where it can find this hello world service class. Okay, now let's give the execution for the service class. Okay, so for that, now let's see another example of working with different dependencies like Spring Data JPA, Spring Web, etc. Okay, so for that, what we will do is, again we will create a new application. Suppose new Spring Startup project. Okay, let's give the name same because I've deleted the previous file. Like, and let's see. So first we will name it with the @ service annotation. Let's import it, this annotation, yeah, because inside this now the business logic will be defined. Okay, so here first what we will do is let's create a method of type string. Okay, where we are going to print the actual message, that is hello world. Okay, so get hello message. Okay, suppose, and then inside this let's return a simple value, that is hello world. Okay, yes. Now after this what we are going to do is create a controller class. Okay, so that we can print this message on the web. Okay, so for that, let's save this, and inside the same package let's create suppose a new class as hello world. Okay, controller controller, let's create it. Okay, now in order to first make the class as controller, the annotation is @controller, right? Let's import this annotation. Now inside this, okay, first what we will do is, in order to make this a REST API controller, let's give it as a REST controller. Okay, so this annotation basically what it does, it combines the controller and the response body annotation, which is of the REST API and REST API. Okay, so it indicates that, again, a very simple way, that this class is a controller and the method that will be present inside this. Okay, it will just handle or produce the HTTP responses for the particular HTTP requests that are coming from the client side. Okay, next, inside this controller classes, as we required what, the service classes, because inside that service class the business logic is present, right? So as we know, to do that we need to auto wire that class here. So the annotation is nothing but using auto wire, then the name of our service class, that is hello world, and then service. Okay, and let's create a simple very reference variable for this, I suppose HSV. Okay, so this auto wire annotation will do what? So it will inject the hello world service bean which we have created into the hello controller class. Okay, which, so when Spring, so what will happen is when the Spring initializes the hello controller bean, it automatically injects the hello world service bean class. So whatever the business logics, okay, we have implemented here, okay, so they can easily be included in this controller classes. Okay, next is we are going to create a get mapping method, so that user can see this hello world message. So inside this let's create suppose a public string class. Okay, as suppose hello, sorry, string method as hello. Okay, and let's just return here, okay, value that we, or the method that we that is present here. So how will it happen is, for that we will need the reference variable of the service class, that is nothing but hsw dot get hello message. Okay, so for that we need to import this. Okay, so how the exit and this has to be given inside the. So how the execution will happen here is, first, the client will give the request as localhost, then whatever the port number is, and then this URL as suppose localhost. Okay, then the port number and this URL. Okay, so once it hits on this URL, then automatically it will get mapped. The control will map it to this method. Okay, inside this then this method will get executed. That is the hello method, where what we are doing is we are calling the get hello message with the help of our service reference or object of the service class. Okay, so this will do what? This will give call to the service class method, or we can say the service class bin. And inside this bin, okay, what we are having is this method. That is, once this message get calls, it will get print the message that is hello world. Okay, so in this way, on the web page, the hello world will get printed. Now let's check this by running our application. So let's run it. Okay, let's do right click here and run as Spring Boot app. Okay, so in my case, it is saying that it is already listening on the port 8080. So let me just change this port here. So that we particularly do in application properties file, and let's change it to 9090. Suppose let's save this. Now again, let's do right click and then run as Spring Boot app. Okay, so now you can see that the port has started for mine at 9090. If you're doing it for the first time, you will see it as 8080. Okay, so let's go to our web browser. Here we will type is at local host then 9090 slash. Yes, so here you can see the hello world is getting printed. Okay, hi, Mate. So here, as you can see, the hello world is getting printed. So this is how a very simple web application that we can build, okay, using different annotations like list, controller, service, etc. And there is one more thing to note, that if I have to make a service class, okay, so every time there is no need for giving this type of configuration like configuration and then bean, etc. Okay, this can easily be done by also creating a separate service class, and in that service class we will include this logic. Okay, and then automatically with the help of this component scan, okay, that too also will get configured. Okay, so this was about understanding different notations which we have seen, like about REST controller, then the mappings, then about the bins, configuration, component scan, etc. Now let's see about the Spring accredited dependency which we have talked about. So for that, again, I'll create a new file project. Okay, let's name this as a simple Spring app 2. Okay, okay. So now let's see about the Spring accredited dependency. So for that, what we will do, we will go to web browser, open this Maven repository where we have this Spring accumulator dependency, and then from here we will copy paste it, suppose, because that is not by default included in our Spring Boot. So from here we will just control to copy paste, and in our Spring Boot application in the form.xml file, okay, we will include it here as suppose control V, then control S. Okay, what we will do is in our application.properties file which we are having here, that is in this file, okay, we will configure it, okay, so that we can see all different web-based endpoints which we have talked about, like help or its metrics, etc. So for that, first we need to configure it, right? So the syntax for it is that we have to give management dot endpoints. How to do it is that dot endpoints dot web dot exposure, right? And then include is, we have to include everything, right? For that we will include is do this just, okay, let's save it. So let's do is, okay, so here what we are doing is first we are defining the configuration in order to work with that accurator endpoints. Okay, so this will nothing but the tell the health of our application, right? And then I have set the port which I'm going to use it. Now let's run our application and check. Okay, so the default, the Tomcat has started at the port that is 9090. Let's go and check. So this is my application. Okay, so this is the same URL that we have to give in order to check the health of our status, health of our application. Let's click on enter. Yes. So as you can see, this is the response that I'm getting. So this tells that the status is UT. It means that our application is running fine and there are no sort of bugs that are found in it. Okay. Now we are going to work with different dependencies as well as annotation in Spring Boot application to create any simple web application or any backend APIs. Okay, so I hope you got this video. Thank you.